A lot of theatrics last night. You clearly knew going in, choosing Asheville, that you would have opposition in the crowd. Why did you choose Asheville?
Well, you know, I did 8 town halls in my first term in Congress. I've been working my way around the district. I had a town hall scheduled in Asheville right before Hurricane Helene hit, and my thinking was we'd pick up right where we left off.
What did you anticipate going in, and was it exactly what you expected? Because you've seen the history, and you have your speaker telling you not to do these. You decided, I know the reasons why you did it. Is this what you expected?
I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I thought that it might be a bit more civil than what we ended up with last night. I was hoping for dialogue, with a true dialogue with some questions and answers, and maybe a little back and forth with follow-up questions and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that because there were so many folks there that just wanted to express their concern with things that are happening in Washington, D.C. right now.
Under President Trump.
Under President Trump. Those clearly were folks that are upset that President Trump won and that he's doing exactly what he told us that he was going to do.
Mm-hmm. Knowing that you were going to face people that were in opposition to Trump, what does it accomplish? Because it's really, like even you said just now, there's no moving the needle. And I think on the larger scale, that's where the country is. We even have our political scientists saying it's just an exercise in exasperation, and there seems to be no end in sight. Congressman Edwards, what are you going to do to try to bridge the gap and get some unity, some compromise with Democrats, where the country is very divided?
Well, I think that what you saw last night was a good example of what I intend to do, and that's be accessible to the people, to listen to their concerns, even where we might disagree, to try to create an environment where we can talk, not to shy away from the issues. I never intend to shy away from the issues. I want to be accountable to the people that I represent. I believe that in us getting things done, that's exactly what we have to do. I think that we don't also give ourselves enough credit for the things that we are accomplishing. By and large, Americans elected Donald Trump to close our border, to return us to fiscal responsibility, to make our neighborhoods safe again, to prevent taxes from going up on working families at the first of next year. We're accomplishing a lot, and yes, we see a lot of discourse out there. That's part of the process, but I think we're accomplishing exactly what the American people sent us to Washington, D.C. to do.
I think there are a lot of American people that saw the inauguration and saw the billionaires that stood behind President Trump and wondered, what does the Republican Party represent when there are billionaires up there, and the perception that the Republicans are looking out for those billionaires and not for the everyday person?
Well, I think that President Trump has a long history of selecting people that have accomplished things in life to help us create a better working class, a better America. I didn't see anybody at that inauguration that was there for their own good. They don't have to be there. They're offering their time and their talent to help create a better America, not to increase their own wealth.
Well, I think Jeff Bezos was there. I think that Mark Zuckerberg was there. I think Elon Musk was there. And I think the takeaway for many Americans, let's say, that were critical of the outcome of the election, is the perception that this is what the Republican Party is going to look like under Trump.
Yeah, well, you said it, Kimberly. You called it a perception. Mm-hmm. The reality is President Trump has a long-standing history of selecting people for his cabinet that have accomplished things in life. Have we not rather have folks that know how to get things done, know how to get results, to help us get our country back on track?
Well, at the same time, there's been plenty of people he has appointed that were his strong supporters. whether it's Kennedy or any of the other appointees to these positions. So just to say, and it's both parties. This is the way that the government can work that people might not know, but are seeing it with President Trump, but it also obviously happens with Democrats. What would you say about that? It just seems to be, quid pro quo in a lot of ways when these appointments are made.
I don't think it's a quid pro quo at all. I think it is that when we find somebody that really supports us, that can get things done, we tend to lean on them a bit more, and that's exactly what's taking place.
The USDA secretary had no experience, I don't think, in that she was appointed.
Well, there's clearly other talents there that President Trump saw that the United States Senate sees, and why these appointments are moving forward.
Did you take anything from last night, where you would change your positions on anything? You have very strong Republican beliefs. You want small government. You do believe in the dismantling of the Department of Education. You want to see it brought back to the states. People are concerned about ICE arrests, which obviously in Henderson County could potentially be an issue. And there are farmers that are asking, you have significant numbers of undocumented workers that work the fields here. What would you say if there were mass arrests in Henderson County? Who would pick the crops?
Once again, Kimberly, what we see President Trump doing is exactly what the American people asked him to do.
But what do you think about that? What would you say to your people who voted for you or people who didn't vote for you in Henderson County that has a huge ag economy, and it is largely working profitable for the farmers because of a large undocumented population that are picking the crops?
Well, I've been working with the agriculture community here in Henderson County and in the entire district for years now, and trying to create a reliable and legal source of labor to take jobs that Americans don't want to take. As far as ICE coming into any community, President Trump was very forthright that he was looking to get the criminal element out of our society and make our neighborhoods safe again. That's exactly what you see taking place. That's exactly why the American people overwhelmingly put him into office.
But I guess my final question on that would be, so are you saying that you don't have a problem with the way the economy works here in Henderson County, that those individuals who are working in the fields are not going to be targeted in roundups, and do you feel they should be or shouldn't be? That's
not what I've seen taking place at all. What I have seen taking place is that ICE has been going into sanctuary cities, areas where folks are blatantly ignoring the law and harboring what I will call fugitives from the law, creating a safe place for them to be. The criminal element, if you will, that overwhelmingly the American people said they want removed through their election of Donald Trump.
So would you feel okay then with people who are undocumented, who are working? Would that be something that you feel is important to the economy, specifically here?
I believe that everyone that is in this country should be accounted for in this country, should come here through a legal means, whether that's through a work visa of some type or whether they're seeking citizenship. I believe that they should be here under some sort of legal means.
Where would you say, Congressman, that you differ from President Trump in, you spoke about your support for Ukraine. What other issues do you feel where you might divert from where Trump stands?
From what I've seen so far, the biggest difference would be if I were president, I might use a little bit of a different tactic in going about some of the cuts. I applaud the fact that he's actually doing what he said that he would do, and he's not wasting any time about it. I'm a bit more methodical, but I think my values, my principles very much align with those that he campaigned on that were demanded by the American people.
There were some people that felt that you really didn't address the VA cuts. What do you want to say your position is on that? There was a lot of applause when someone raised that concern about the cuts. We obviously have a VA hospital in Asheville.
Well, first of all, let's be realistic. We've not seen any VA cuts. The angst is from a leaked memo where someone was looking into the VA to try to analyze and determine what number of employees were out there, what were they doing. Even Elon Musk has been very forthright and said that his intent is not to remove any job that is actually providing a medical service to a veteran. We owe it to our veterans to take care of them. I fully support that. I don't want to do anything to disrupt the medical attention they get. In fact, there's still a lot of improvements that need to be made to that system. But every agency needs to be looked at for the bloat that has taken place prior to the pandemic. And the VA system is one. There was an inquiry out there to begin to try to understand where the people were, where 80,000 more people are today inside the VA than prior to the pandemic, and inquiries are being made. No cut has been made to the VA.
How about the park services? We have a huge tourist economy that's tied to outdoor activities here in the mountains. I was almost assigned the story the other day where the Park Service is being told not to publicize the economic impact or the number of visitors, to take that down off their website. On a personal note, do you like that idea or do you accept it?
Well, Park Service is one of the jewels here in Western North Carolina, no doubt. I've always supported it. I will always continue to support it. It is one of the economic drivers, one of the primary economic drivers here in Western North Carolina. I'll continue to fight to keep it properly staffed. And what we also see, Kim, going on, Elon Musk is very forthright also in that there have been a few mistakes made. I see my responsibility as the congressman here in Western North Carolina to stay apprised of those decisions that are being made in the White House, and then working with the White House to change those back that we feel that need to be changed back. I'll use the example of the Social Security office in Franklin. There was a notice put out that it was going to be closed. I quickly realized that that was a bad idea because the closest Social Security office to Franklin was an hour and a half away. I went and engaged with the White House. Now that that office is going to be kept open, and there are example after example of that where I go back and advocate for the needs here in Western North Carolina.
It doesn't, but I want to go back to the question, the perception of the federal government, the White House, or executive orders requesting that the Park Service no longer advertise something that they're proud of, that shows that people love to go and use America's parks. The idea that is happening, does that unnerve you at all? Does it concern you that kind of request is being made?
Well, I think everything needs to be looked at, but Kimberly, again, you're basing a question off of perception, not reality.
They've asked that it be removed. The number of people that visit the parks, that shows that people like it, that needs to come down. That shouldn't be on the website anymore. You know, to say how many people come to the Park Service, to come to the parks.
I don't think I heard a question.
Well, I'm just saying, is that something that you think should happen? I mean, it's like throwing cold water on the Park Service, on the fact that they're proud of how many people, and it shows how many people like to come, and yet they're asking that be taken down. What do you think about that? Again,
I think that everything needs to be looked at. The administration has every right to analyze what's taking place, make recommendations on the changes, and then it becomes my job here as the congressman in Western North Carolina to fight either for or against those changes based on the needs of this district, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
All right, but there was another one I wanted to ask you about. Tariffs. I know you have a lot of dialogue with the apple growers around here. They're very concerned about the tariffs. Where do you stand on that right now? We know what's happened in the past. They feel that in the first Trump administration, the tariffs hurt the apple growers. Where do you stand, and what are your talks with your constituents that are worried about this?
Well, let's take a flashback to the past. During Trump's first presidency, he did place tariffs on a lot of agricultural products. The agriculture community was very much behind him because what he got in turn was promises from foreign countries to buy more American goods as a result. Unfortunately, President Biden went into office and failed to enforce those agreements. What we see taking place right now with tariffs is the author of the art of the deal working to gain leverage over those foreign nations that we need to do something else in the interest of Americans. He's creating leverage. In building an economy that works as we had under the first Trump presidency, there's a lot of dynamics. We've got to make American products cheaper. We've got to make foreign products more expensive. We've got to create a more regulatory friendly environment, and we've got to create a tax environment that makes people want to create jobs here. That's but one dynamic that you're speaking of in a very complex equation.
I go back to your constituents, though, and I know the apple growers have expressed concern to you, haven't they, about the tariffs that are going into effect?
Well,
have they, just yes or no? Have you heard from apple farmers in your district, this Henderson County, where your roots are, that are really concerned about this? Just yes or no?
No.
You have not? Okay. Because what I have heard is they're worried about retaliatory tariffs that could be put on apples by Canada and Mexico. And they said, according to the data from the U.S. apple industry, $173 million hit was what the impact was to the cost of India, the fourth largest market, in the first go round of the tariffs. So you're saying no apple farmers have come to you to express concern?
I have not had apple farmers come to me to express concerns about tariffs. What I've heard from the apple growers is that they need a legal source of labor. Mm-hmm. They need a regulatory environment that allows them to operate their farms, and they're concerned with the tax increase that is scheduled to go into place the first of next year.
When you see the media landscape, it's very divided. You'll have MSNBC that obviously caters to Democrats. Fox News has Republicans that watch. When the nation is so divided, where do we go from here in your mind? Where is the middle ground? And because when I talk to people in my job, they feel this tension, this sadness about the country, that we're very divided, but many people are in the middle. But I can remember talking to Heath Shuler, who was the last Democrat that represented this district, a blue dog Democrat. He said a Democrat can never win this district because it is largely Republican. Where is the country, in your mind, ever going to come together? Because we have so much divisiveness.
Yeah, Kimberly, I don't agree with the premise of your question. I'm in Washington, D.C. almost every week, and while there are many issues where Democrats and Republicans disagree, if you look at the bills that are proposed, you're going to see the lion's share of those are supported by Republicans and Democrats. I've got optimism for our country. I believe that when President Trump was elected, he drew a lot of the moderates over. He drew a lot of Democrats over that also want to see our borders closed, that want to see energy revitalized in America, that want to see neighborhoods safer, that want to see only women in women's sports. There are a lot of issues out there. I think that if you really stopped and thought about it, you would recognize that Republicans and Democrats agree.
I don't see that from the work that I've done in my role as a journalist. I see the country, a lot of people very upset on both sides, and they feel that obviously Trump won. During your speech last night, you said President Trump was elected by the lion's share of the American people, but he didn't win a majority. The numbers show, Trump won 77.3 million American votes, Harris 75 million. So That's not a lion's share.
I think he won by he won the popular vote by in the neighborhood of 2 million.
Right.
He won the lion's share of the electoral college. A more sweeping election than we've seen in any presidential election in quite some time.
Well, maybe by the electoral college, but not the popular vote.
Well, a $2 million margin in the popular vote is quite significant. Americans have been clear that they want change, and that's exactly what President Trump, that's exactly what the Republican-led House, and that's exactly what the Republican-led Senate are offering to the American people, the change that they asked for.
Where do you go from here after that meeting last night? Do you just go back to D.C., business as usual? What was the biggest takeaway of any point that was raised last night by your detractors?
Well, I'm still processing what took place. That was only just a few hours ago. I've had a very, very busy day today. There's a lot to think about, and more dialogue to be had. I would certainly hope to look for more ways that we can improve the lives of more Americans, not fewer. There's no situation where everyone is going to agree with what we do. My job is to work to get the majority of the folks here in NC11 the things that they've asked for.
Do you seem to at least have a friendly rapport when they were jeering at you, when there were people, heckling you? Is that something you've experienced before, and was this just another iteration of that on a larger scale for you?
It was on a larger scale. I talk to people every day that don't agree with me, even though there was the uncivility that we may have seen last night. I still appreciate and love every individual that was there. I certainly respect them and their opinion, and I like to think that I represent all the folks in Western North Carolina, even if they're not going to agree on principle with a lot of the things that I'm working on.
Did you hear from any of your fellow Democrats today after last night? Obviously, it went national. It was picked up by a lot on national media.
I have heard from a few of my Democrat friends.
Republicans.
I've heard from several of my Republican friends.
Can you share who you've heard from today?
I don't know that they'd want me to
Did you hear from President Trump?
I have not heard from President Trump.
You have not?
No, right.
And Mike Johnson, the Speaker?
I have not heard from Mike Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Did your fellow Republicans give you an attaboy for doing it, or what was the feedback that you got from your Republican, colleagues?
It was mixed. Some said, way to go. I appreciate you having the courage to stand out there and talk about what we're working on here in Washington, D.C. The people do need to know the story behind what we're working on. I had a few say, Chuck, I always thought you were out of your mind. Now I know it. It was all across the board.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming out.